Hello and welcome to the demo. We're looking at basic landscape oil painting and how to keep the marks loose. Loose painting means the background will show. I find the white of the canvas showing through to have a deadening effect. Of course, there is no right or wrong way to decide on what you like. We will find that out by experimenting. Here is the reference photo. It is from Stanhope Dean, February 2021. Naturally, we need to prepare before we begin painting. I have done thumbnail sketches and notans to pin down my composition. For the experiment, I prepare a piece of paper with several different toned colours to try out. A toned ground is just where you paint colour down before you begin your painting. Historically, I prefer a warm neutral underpainting as it gives the illusion of the sun. I am trying a green and a blue and two warm neutrals. I use acrylic for this as it will dry fast. Palette leftovers mixed can create lovely neutrals. I paint quick colour studies over these, concentrating on the big shapes. I have given myself the challenge of using 10 brush strokes to describe the whole scene. The rules of this little exercise are to not let the brush strokes overlap and get as much mileage out of a brush stroke as I can. Keep a tally after each brush stroke so you don't lose count. When placing a mark, let it describe as much as it can before moving on. If needed, they can walk over the other ones to get to the other side. Different brushes give different shapes, so use this as an experiment to see the different marks you can create. The angular brush creates a sharp line, the filbert a soft line. The well-loved classic brushes can give a lot of texture to suggest grass and scrub. To vary mark making, change how hard you press down, how much paint is on the brush, and what angle the brush is at. Now that I know I like this one, and that I like mixing up the shape of my brushes to get a variety of marks, I can begin. Photographs of snow often look black and white. One thing we will not be doing is painting the snow white and the sky blue. When we observe for ourselves, it is full of subtle muted colour. If we were to use saturated colours, we would lose the subtlety of the snow scene. To mix muted colours, add a touch of complementary colour to it. The colours I'm using are Indian yellow, naphtha red, ultramarine violet, phthalo green, titanium white, king's blue deep, cobalt turquoise light. You will use a lot of white. Practice mixing your colours and try some combinations, as it does not always work how you expect. I know that if I combine ultramarine violet and Indian yellow to get winter greens and deep purples. Try mixing your colours and find out these delightful surprises. Step 1. I paint my coloured ground in acrylic so it will dry. I begin by sketching out my thumbnail to guide where I will place my painting. I use the rule of 3 grid to help put my focal point in the sweet spot. Block-in. Before we get to any of the fun things, I begin the block-in. A block-in is painting the large shapes with no detail, covering the whole canvas. Traditionally, this would be done with paint thinned with solvents. I am not using solvents, so I am starting with relatively thick paint. A block-in allows us to judge if the colours we have placed are correct in hue and value. If it is not right, it is not a mistake. We cannot tell if it is right until we have put the paint down and surrounded it with other colours. I start at the back and paint the sky. The sky here is not blue, it is a pink grey. I take the sky over the edges of the horizon line because I want a soft and lost edge here. I use the colour wheel to help me mix the neutral sky colour. I mixed a dot of naphtha red with some white and added just a touch of the green that was created by mixing ultramarine violet and Indian yellow. Usually the sky would be the lightest part, but snow is reflective and can be a lighter value than the sky. I love having a warm sky and cool snow against the horizon. Note how I'm placing my brush strokes, just like we did on the brushstroke exercise, to keep the marks nice and loose. Next, I mix the Weird green, Indian yellow, ultramarine purple, naphthol red. If a colour has a strong tinting strength, it means that a little bit will go a long way. A lot of it will overpower any mix. Even though the green in the distance is the same Weird green, I've made it slightly bluer and a lighter value. This will help give depth to my painting. The birch trees are purple red. I scrub them in. I will paint the trunks later. That is a detail. The icy track is grey. I want the track to be part of the whole image and not look stuck on. I use the same colours from the rest of the image to mix a grey and scrub that in. I can step back and take note of what needs altering. If it is in the wrong place, or if any of the colours or values aren't working now that they have been placed beside each other. We are now onto the fun bit. Details. Again, I'm working back to front. I add in the variations. There is not much variation in tone, but there is variation in hue. I make the distance appear further away by making it lighter than the foreground. I am exaggerating what I see in the photo. The photo has made the dark areas excessively dark. I like how the snow forms the negative shapes of the trees. I add extra to break up the large clump on the right. Suggestion works well and gives the painting a loose style. Our eyes and brains will make it up. I use soft edges and gentle marks and wet paint to suggest the thin branches on the trees. Trees get lighter the higher up they go, which the camera cannot show us. The tree in the foreground has some shadow on it. I paint these as it helps with showing the foreshortening. It is a yellow-green colour due to the lichen on it, as the tree is against the warmth, comparatively, of the mid-distant birch trees. I ignore details like the old buildings and the bridge. The bridge is not identifiable from this view and is a straight line that detracts from the focal point. The roof of the building is parallel to a tree branch. The tree is the focal point and the building is not adding to my composition. It would weaken it as it is so similar. I use hard edges to emphasize the tree, contrasting to the soft and lost edges in the distance. I make the last few alterations. I check that no two things are the same. The values are very similar here, so I need to ensure that the shapes and colours are different. I want the background to recede and nothing to compete with my focal point, but to support it. Just like with pastels, if it's not working out, you can just scrape it out. Here's the finished piece. Thank you all for watching and for all your support.